5 questions you can ask to get to market gold. This is things that I learned after interviewing over 100 potential customers for my very first startup. What we had done is we had built this software. We had made the mistakes that I'm trying to teach you not to make. We'd gone out, we built the software. It was complex. It did all kinds of things. And our customers were just getting really confused. Our initial concept was an absolutely beautiful tool for networking where professionals could meet other like-minded professionals. They could hang out, they could get to know each other, figure out how they were going to help each other grow their business. And what we did is we got completely obsessed with the feature set that we were going to build into the product. And it was really my fault as the CEO and original founder. It was just mistakes that we made. And what happened was we had built this really big solution. Revenue was just kind of trickling in and we were burning through cash. I had funded the whole thing myself. We had not taken outside money and we were just burning through cash over and over and over. So what we decided to do was we decided to pause everything that was going on, and we thought we would go and talk to customers and figure out what was going on, do customer research, which is very important in validating an idea. Now, preferably, you'll do this customer research before you build the solution and put it out into the marketplace. You'll talk to people who are potential customers. If you've already done it and things aren't going as you want, you can still pause all of that and go and talk to customers just like we did. 100+ interviews. And to do that well, we created a little interview guide that would help us sort of create a methodology around this interview. And there were 5 key questions that we asked, and I'm going to share those with you. I think it was 5, just double checking my notes here. I think it was 5, but we'll go through these questions that you can use to interview customers and find out what's going on. So key question number 1, what's the hardest part of using our software? So we just flat out asked them, what's really hard about using this thing? What creates chaos? What makes it really hard to use the platform? What makes you not want to use the platform? And we asked all those questions. And it was staggering the things that we learned. Things that we thought were completely intuitive and made sense. Customers were telling us, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We also had them walk us through the process of using the product. So what we did is it's called an over the shoulder. So I would actually literally sit there with them and ask them to log into the platform and since this was a business to business networking site, they would invite others to coffee or lunch. And I would ask them, walk me through the process of setting up a new opportunity and picking someone that you're going to invite and how you review their profile and all these things. And so as an over our shoulder, I sort of watched them go through this over and over and over. And then I said, after this, I said, well, thanks for sharing that information. What was it about your life, your professional career that chose you to pick a solution like this? Was it that you heard about us, that you, got a referral from somebody else, that you saw an ad? What was it? You had a pain point you wanted to solve and you went searching for a solution like this? What was it that sort of pushed you to use a solution like ours? And then I had 2 other questions that I added to this. So the first is, what was most frustrating to you? Not only their pain point that they had, I was looking for emotions in that pain point. Oh, I can't grow my business, or I'm stuck growing my business, or I'm meeting all the same people over and over and over, or I'm networking with people that I don't enjoy networking with. So I looked for emotion in that. Then I asked what I call a magic wand question. I said, if you could have a magic wand and wave it, and make this process easier, what would that look like? And so literally they told me exactly what they were looking for. And so then what I would do is go back and look for commonalities. Well, after about 50 of these 100 interviews, a real pattern sort of emerged. And what I found out was that the product wasn't necessarily failing because it was missing things. It was failing because it had too many of them. We had built a bloated solution and it just did too much. Whereas at the end of the day, customers weren't buying features, they were buying a solution to their pain point. And it didn't take all the stuff we were doing to solve that. The real job that our customers wanted us to solve didn't require all these features. It just required a few of them, and the whole thing would have been settled. Instead, we had built this enormous product that most of the features, a lot of them didn't get used. A lot of them were confusing, and customers really only used a handful of them that they would do. One of the most intriguing things about it was the best feature that we built was a leaderboard. We built a little bit of gamification into the process, and that created more use than anything because we had these instances where users would actually go to mini fun war against each other trying to get to the top of the leaderboard. So that was really, really, really neat. But this whole process was kind of terrifying because we learned, oh my gosh, we'd spent all this money and time and energy building the solution. We built it too big. We could have gone to market sooner. We could have spent less money building it, all these things. And so we had to make a painful decision, and we killed off about 70% of the features that we had built, narrowed it down, got it down to the base features that accomplished that pain point, that accomplished that magic wand that customers have been waving. And then what we did was, over the next 3 months, we rebuilt it, and we basically did a relaunch. And then is when we started to see the hockey stick of growth that you would expect. I've told the story before. Middle of one day, I got a text from my co-founder, Frank, and he said, hey, do you know anyone that do you know anyone that speaks Spanish? And I said, well, I took 5 years of Spanish, so I can read it to some extent. So he sent me an article that had been posted on I believe it was a Spanish blog. And so they had been talking about the solution and how they thought it was neat. And then from there, later in the day, he texted me and said, well, we're getting all kinds of signups in Peru. Apparently a bunch of Peruvians were reading this Spanish blog, and they started to sign up for the product. That was just one example of how getting to a core feature set really helped us scale. So the most valuable information that you can get is locked away in the minds of your prospects and your customers. So we're in week 2 of the 30-day founder blueprint. Today is all about going out and using these 5 questions I shared with you to interview potential users. If you haven't built the product yet, if you have, slow down, talk to key customers and ask them these questions, and make sure you dial your product into what it really needs to be. I recommend putting a guide together, how you're going to go through the interview process, how you're going to identify the right users, all these different things. But the secret was what we discovered. It wasn't some crazy magic bullet. It wasn't some viral marketing technique. It was literally we had built too much and we were confusing our users. And the only way we learned that was to stop, pause, ask lots of questions, and go back to the drawing board. If you feel you're building something that nobody wants, you just haven't talked to enough customers yet. That is all about what today's about. Make sure you do that, preferably before you start building your product. But if you have already started to build your product, it's okay to stop, slow down, go back, start talking to customers. There are no problems that talking to more customers can't solve. You should be doing that as often as you can, and it's one of the biggest places I see startup founders fail. That's why I'm sharing it with you today.